Come Sunday, voters in Thailand head to the polls. More than 50 million people are eligible to vote. Here's a look at some of the key issues sitting front and centre of the election. Topping the list of concerns, bread and butter issues. Thailand's economy was hit hard by COVID-19, the effects of which have not entirely gone away. Last year, the economy grew by dismal 2.6%. By far one of the slowest rates in this region. A more upbeat outlook appears to be on the cards for this year, but it's unclear how much of that will trickle down to benefit the masses. The impact of rising living costs and elevated inflation has not been distributed equally. Lower income communities have been hardest hit, especially in the deep south, where an insurgency rages on, and the agricultural centres in the north and the northeast. That's why parties are pulling out all the stops for farmers. At 14 million, they comprise the single largest group of voters in this election, all echoing an almost identical plight. More than 90% of agricultural households face an average debt of around 450,000 baht. That's more than $13,000. Nationally, Thailand has one of the biggest household debt loads in Asia. The issue of cannabis also looming large. Less than a year after the country moved to decriminalize it, key legislation over the drug's usage remains in limbo. Many parties have promised to fill the regulatory vacuum with mixed success so far. Turning now to the age breakdown in this election, more than 40% of eligible voters are aged below 42 years, and up to 4 million are casting their ballots for the very first time. Issues important to young people are in the spotlight, in particular their grievances against two key institutions, that's the military and the monarchy. In fact, this election is the first since mass youth-led protests rocked the nation in 2020. Their demands essentially calls for comprehensive democratic reforms. In a nation that has endured more than 12 coups since 1932, they want to challenge the military's position as a powerful political force in Thailand. And the monarchy has not been spared either. This law in particular receiving the bulk of discontent. It stipulates a person can be imprisoned for up to 15 years, and that's just for criticizing the royal family. Many rights groups have called for the rule to be scrapped. Since 2020, more than 200 people have been convicted under this law.
For more on the upcoming election in Thailand, we're joined now by Harrison Cheng. He's Director at Control Risks. Good evening to you, Mr. Cheng. Bread and butter issues are going to dominate the Thai election, but of the major political parties that are running, only Pheu Thai has actually sort of showcased its foreign policy on the party's official website. Very few others have said anything about it. Why does foreign policy typically take this back seat, if you will, for Thai political parties when there are clearly gains to be had when it comes to better foreign relations?
Thanks, Dawn, for having me here. I think the reason why is really because, as you can see from what was presented earlier, the economic performance of Thailand hasn't been great. And despite expectations of a post-COVID boost, actually the numbers you've seen here, the tourism numbers, for example, in the first quarter of this year, haven't been as good as the government would like. And so that's why political parties are focusing primarily on domestic issues, cost of living, obviously, amid rising inflation, not unique to Thailand. But I would say the impact is more pronounced because of the high household debt, because of the fact that Thailand has struggled really to break out of the, even the 4% GDP growth that we've seen in neighboring Southeast Asian countries. And the other thing I want to point out is really that Thai governments typically do not often politicize foreign relations to score domestic political points against rivals. Thai foreign policy aims to be quite geopolitically neutral and be friendly to the big powers, to neighboring countries. And so there's a lot more political capital to be gained by focusing on domestic issues.
Nonetheless, Mr. Cheng, Move Forward Party has weighed in on Thailand's position as far as foreign policy is concerned, or the lack thereof, saying that it badly needed new direction, it badly needed leadership, in fact. What are the stakes, though, for Thailand insofar as its foreign policy is concerned, and the impact, perhaps, after the elections, depending on who wins this? Post-May the 14th, particularly in relation to how Thailand compares itself to the global standing of other regional neighbours?
So that's a great point, because Thailand really has the clout. It has the market size to be an important player in ASEAN. But unfortunately, because of the May 2014 coup, because of the political instability that stretches even before that, that has made it quite unpredictable for major powers and regional neighbors to actually rely on Thailand to play that role. So I think the election is important because it provides Thailand with a chance to show the world whether it's able to finally shake the grip of the military on politics and to be able to shape a more proactive foreign policy. Of course, that presupposes that whoever wins the election will be able to achieve some form of political peace or reconciliation. So if the pro-military government wins, the ruling coalition wins, then I think we are set for a status quo. If the opposition wins, actually, there is the possibility of policy changes in terms of foreign policy on both fronts. Firstly, with the big powers, and second.
All right. I do apologize. We appear to have lost Harrison Cheng, their director at Control Risks. Now, for more on the Thai election, check out our YouTube channel as well as our website, cna.asia, as we count down to Election Day this Sunday.